win is a win. The Cowboys absolutely stink, so you beat the Cowboys in a windy game. Carson Wentz, what's the state of the union right now there in Philly?
He said that he's going to continue to be aggressive. Didn't he say that?
I think he said that. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and for a guy to want to continue to be aggressive with all those turnovers, I'm looking at him like, are you sure you want to continue to be aggressive? I just think, I look at the guy and he's got some talent. He's just not very good. He's just not consistent. What makes a quarterback good is consistency, and he just doesn't give you that. Quite frankly, I don't really know what they see in the guy. I mean, I know he's a big guy, and at times you look and say, you know what, that's the Carson Wentz that I've been waiting for. And then all of a sudden you look and say, how the heck they gave him a $100 million contract? I wouldn't give him a $20 million contract. So it's just his inconsistency that really bothers me, Jack.
That's interesting, Rodney. Have you always felt like they probably shouldn't have paid him? Have you felt in the past like they should have kept Foles around, or have you felt that they need to look in a completely different direction from the quarterback room that they've had over these last few years?
Well, since they drafted Carson in the first round, I figured, eventually Nick Foles would move on and go and get paid like he did, and, Carson Wentz would have an opportunity. But it's just what I see, and as much as the injuries, I know we had a bunch of offensive linemen and things like that, but they have capable guys on the outside. Even if they're young guys, these guys have played well. But I look at Carson, man, and he talks about big plays, and it just seems like he wants the big play all the time. And I just don't see a level of patience. And then last year, what was the complaint? Or the year before? Oh, he only throws to tight ends. He's only throwing to tight ends. Well, his tight ends were hurt at one point. Now he started going to the wide receivers. I just look, and I still question at this point in time, why did they pay him that type of money? He's just not very good.
So, some of these young quarterbacks that just seem to me like they're doing a little bit too much. And I think we saw that from Lamar Jackson yesterday. I think we've seen that from Deshaun Watson all season long. And I think we've seen that from Carson Wentz way too often. They just hold the ball. Instead of 2-3 seconds, nothing there, floated out of bounds. It's like 2-3 seconds, nothing there. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, oh, I got to run. And so then it turns into scramble drill, and then it turns into miracle drill, and I'm going to create a magical play, and then it's an interception, or then it's a sack fumble, and then it's something crazy. And we keep seeing it with these young quarterbacks that have some athleticism. I think it's one of the things that's really got Wentz into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and the thing that I see from Wentz is when great quarterbacks drop back, Tom Brady knows exactly there's going to be a curl, there's going to be a dig, there's going to be a post, and now he's focused on the defense. So he knows exactly where everybody's at. Now he can focus on the defense. Okay, the safety came down, they're either in man or they're in cover 3. Carson Wentz doesn't do that. His mind doesn't process. He goes back and he stares at receivers and then all of a sudden, he's scrambling and he gets sacked, and now it's a 10-yard loss, or he throws it up. It's an interception. He has to learn how to process his information more. Exactly what the wide receivers are doing and exactly what the defense is trying to do to stop it.
And the one thing worth mentioning is it did look like that wind was howling, not only in Philly, but like around the country yesterday. There's a bunch of these games where they show a shot of the flag, and it's just like, and Philly was definitely one of those. So I always a little slow on my quarterback criticism when you see weather like that.
Well, you've seen him the last three or four years too, bro.
For sure. No, that's listen, we gave that one the full picture there. I'm right there with you. Okay. Quarterback, wide receiver combo that have had plenty of success. DK Metcalf has looked phenomenal. Now the conversation's starting to transition from this guy's one of the great top 10 wide receivers in the NFL to might he be the best? Talking about DK Metcalf. Well, his coach Pete Carroll weighed in yesterday after the win. Here's what he had to say.
He's just so freaking tough, and whether he's blocking guys or whether he's catching the ball or whether they smack him and the ball arrives and he's standing over those guys, when they fall off of him. When he caught the ball on the crossing route, I started screaming that they weren't going to get him, right from like when he was way over there, because he's just too fast. And he just circled the whole defense and put it in the end zone. I don't even think they touched him. It was a great play. We're so lucky to have him and have him grown and emerging as such a dominant football player. He's really something.
So he's getting plenty of love, and he's earned a lot of that love. Has DK Metcalf. LeBron calls him Baby Bron yesterday. That's some high praise there, Rodney, as you take a look at the graphic from the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I look at DK Metcalf, and you see the guy pregame walking across the field, and you see how big and how just intimidating he is. But you also, I look and I see on the sideline, I see those DBs looking and seeing and sizing them up. And that's what he uses. He uses intimidation, not just physically, but he is a beast. Like, his mindset goes with his body. A lot of times guys have that body, but they don't have that mindset. And he is a tough dude. He's big, he's physical, and he wants it. I mean, when you run down a safety, when you run down somebody and you give everything, 80, 90 yards or whatever he had to run, and you catch them, it's heart, it's desire, it's deep down inside of you, and that's what he has. And I do believe that he's the best receiver right now in the National Football League.
I actually agree. And he won a lot of football fans with that rundown of Budda Baker.
Yes.
And just the lack of hesitation. I just thought, like, you put that really well right there, Rodney. Like, you see guys, I mean, not very many, but you see guys over the years that have that kind of a body, but it's so rare to have the combination of body and mind. And he proved the mind thing to me when he just, like, the second he saw Budda Baker intercept that ball, it wasn't like maybe I can get him, maybe I can run him down from here, maybe I can get an angle. He didn't give a hoot. It was like, I'm freaking on a beeline right now, going right there, catching it. Like, he just has no hesitation to his game, and he looks the same way when he catches a ball and looks to turn upfield. He always thinks he's scoring a touchdown, and none of those DBs are going to get in the way and stop him. He did the exact same thing on Sunday.
And think about the thousands and thousands of high school, college, pro coaches, and just coaches around the country and people that have taken that clip of him. And I've, been on social media, and so many coaches, like, I'm showing my kids this, I'm showing my team that. I mean, to make a difference on a stage like that and to be that influential to everybody else because you're hustling, I mean, it had to make them feel good, because that's something that I showed my son. I said, hey, man, come over here. You got to look at this. I mean, look at the effort. This doesn't take, you don't have to be, big, fast, and strong, but it's the effort. It's you digging down deep trying to make a play, and DK Metcalf is that guy, man. I'm happy for him.
In the way that Russell Wilson talks about DK Metcalf and compares him to Jerry Rice, lets you know that not only is he a great game day player, but it sounds like throughout the week, throughout the course of a practice week, he is the hardest worker in that building. And so that's one more lesson that they can pass down beneath to college and high school as well. One lesson they probably should go without: the Chargers yesterday. One of the great collapses that I've ever watched. I mean, Denver is booing the whole game Drew Lock. These fans, the boo birds were out all day long. It's like I think if you had polled half the fans, they would have been looking for a new quarterback. And then Denver comes all the way back. Here was Chargers head coach Anthony Lynn after a very tough loss, of which there have been many this year.
I'm sorry. I feel bad. I mean, that game today, we had it completely under control, and the way we lost the game today, that is unacceptable. And I take full responsibility for that.
Well, Rodney, how do you hear it? What'd you think of the finish there as you just saw a Chargers collapse?
Well, Anthony Lynn is right. He has to take responsibility because his team played hard. They didn't execute in the final minutes, and it continues to happen to the Chargers. I mean, we've seen this the last 2 or 3 years, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a missed field goal, a blocked punt. We've just seen this over and over, and no matter how much talent, they got a young quarterback, no matter how much excitement that goes into being around, what you got going, you got to be able to finish those games. And if you can't finish those games, that's a direct reflection to the head coach. And if it's me, I'm looking at that tape and I'm saying, this is happening far too often, guys. I'm going to decide to bench some guys. And you got to make some personnel changes. You have to be able to send a message and let those guys know that this is unacceptable. If you want to be a Los Angeles Charger, you got to learn how to finish, and this is something that we're not going to do.
With Justin Herbert, do you get the feeling, and I understand that they haven't won yet, but it's a little bit of the same situation with the Bengals. Like, when you're playing that young of a quarterback, where there's a little learning curve there about learning how to win, for 3 quarters, for 3.5 quarters, do you get the sense that the Chargers are a good football team? Like, is it a football team, the foundation of this program? Is it heading in the right direction? or is this one that's going a little different direction than you mentioned you felt the Bengals were?
That's an excellent question, and I do believe they're heading in the right direction. A lot of times you got to go through some tough times in order to get to the really good times, and this is a team that they have a lot of talent. Offensively, I think Mike Williams is one of the top 5 or 6 receivers in the National Football League. I mean, he's that good. Keenan Allen and the running backs. I know Austin Eckler, he got hurt. Hunter Henry. I mean, they have the foundation. They went out and drafted Kenneth Murray, linebacker, who I think is fantastic. You get Derwin James back possibly next year. Hopefully he can stay healthy for an entire year. They have the foundation. Rashad Jenkins, the free safety, they have talent on both sides of the ball. But now it's time for Anthony Lynn, with this young quarterback, to incorporate everything and start to finish. I like Anthony Lynn as a coach. I like his demeanor. I like what he brings and how he deals with his players. He just has to, they just have to finish. That's all.
For sure. The Derwin James injury was just a crusher coming into the season. Just an absolute crushing injury for that defense.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.